Hello and good morning. Hi, I'm Heather Rodriguez, and we're going to have a little fertility chat today about sugar and how it impacts fertility, but how to make it really easy to quit it. So go ahead and get started. So sugar. So there's a couple different things to consider when it comes to sugar. First, we'll kind of talk about the two different types of sugar and then how it can affect fertility. Now, there's simple sugar and there's complex sugars. There's going to be the sugars that are added to foods and there's going to be the sugars that are naturally found in foods. What I want to talk about is added sugars. I think that's the first place that most people should start, and that's what we need to look at reducing. So something to think about when you're considering should I eat sugar or not is today's talk is going to be about added sugar, so sugar that you're adding to things, sugar that's added to products, not naturally occurring sugars such as those found in fruit or complex carbohydrates. Those sugars are going to be fine. It's going to be more like the high fructose corn syrup. It's going to be more, good morning, Sidea, good morning, Joanne. It's going to be also the artificial sweeteners and things like that. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So simple sugars are basically something that is going to cause blood sugar spikes within the body, which can in turn cause hormonal issues. The reason complex sugars, which are naturally occurring sugars, don't do this is because they are in foods that contain fiber, so it slows down the release of that sugar and the effect it can have on the body. So bad sugars, syrups, candy, sports drinks, desserts, processed foods, alcohol, whereas healthy, good carbohydrate sugars are going to be from fruits, maybe a little bit of vegetables, honey, whole fruit, milk. Milk actually does have quite a bit of sugar in it. Cheese, butter, yogurts that don't have added sweeteners. Those are all natural sugars. Fran's asking that she just started monk fruit sugar. Do I recommend this more than stevia? I'm going to actually talk about those in just a minute, so that's great. So, okay, so those are a couple of the different, to understand the different types of sugars. Now, why should we be concerned about sugar as it pertains to fertility? So sugars, when you have a sugar spike or you have low blood sugar, there's going to be a fight or flight response that happens to that. So the body's going to create stress hormones within the body. When there's like light runaways. You want to reduce that as much as possible. That's why we talk about like mind-body support so much when it comes to fertility, is you don't want to have that fight or flight constantly happening because that starts a whole cascade of hormonal events. It increases your cortisol. It also causes your body to think that there's an emergency and it's going to reduce circulation to the reproductive system first so you can have it to your brain and your arms and your heart so you're ready to run, right? That's all being caused by dietary choices. There's no emergency happening. And you can imagine if this is happening meal after meal, day in, day out, how this can actually compound and have greater issues. Now, this is part of what can cause insulin resistance, and that is one of the main fertility issues that we work with and that we see is insulin resistance, which can turn also be called PCOS. But that's not the only way that it shows up. This can be affecting people even if they don't have PCOS. Also, sugar is extremely addicting, I think I've quit alcohol. I don't drink. I don't do any of the other stuff either, but I think out of quitting alcohol and quitting sugar was way harder. So I think that's part of why it's such a problem. And we also go to it to kind of soothe ourselves when we're stressed, when we're feeling anxiety or depressed, or you're having sleep problems. I find that a lot of times we go to those things so that we can comfort ourselves. So here's a couple different things to think about when, oops, just a second. I have to mute it. I want to make sure I've got all of your comments. Okay, good. So that's why it's so hard to quit it, is because it is extremely addicting and it's found in everything. So there's a couple different things. First, I think quitting cold turkey is the best way. That's kind of how I do everything. I'm kind of an extremist. It's a lot easier for me to just quit and go through the detox phase or the craving phase rather than to make it a long process. I find 2 weeks is what it takes to feel a difference and to actually stop craving it. So just know that if you decide to quit added sugars, you're going to go through it for a little bit, and that then after that, you're going to actually stop craving it. A couple different things. Increase your dietary intake. This will make you feel fuller, so you're not wanting to you won't crave things that are very quick sources of fuel. Also making sure you're eating regular meals that have fiber, carbohydrates, whole food carbohydrates, protein, fat, all of that, so you're full. I find that I personally crave a lot of things that have sugar in them when I'm not eating enough. Drink plenty of water. A lot of times when we think we are hungry and we're craving that little treat or snack, we're actually dehydrated. So if you're drinking enough water, that'll help with cravings as well. Now, let's talk about artificial sweeteners. So you want to avoid artificial sweeteners. And what I mean by that is the products such as like aspartame or sucralose. Those have whole other issues possibly with them. But you can use natural sweeteners to help make things taste better. I don't expect you to go from sweetened coffee to black coffee and be happy about that. So there's a couple different sweeteners that I personally use. There's two that I go to all the time. I still have sweet stuff. It just doesn't actually have sugar in it. So the first is going to be monk fruit. Someone had mentioned this a minute ago, but this is what we use here in our family is the Lakanto monk fruit sweetener. This is awesome. This tastes just like raw cane sugar for the most part, and you use it just like it in equal parts. So you can sprinkle it on things. You can mix it in a cereal. Like if you're making oatmeal, you can put it in your coffee. And this is erythritol mixed with monk fruit, and it has no calories, no sugar. It's made out of sugar alcohols, basically. They also have a whole product line that has syrups, that has like muffin mixes and different things if you're into making stuff like that. But I found that one to be awesome. The other thing that I use, and I like this one because it fits into my purse, is Stevia. But this Stevia I found doesn't have the aftertaste. And they've also made it very easy to use. You just are able to use my office is so bright this morning. You're able to just use a couple drops, but it's called Sweet Drops. Sorry. Anyways, you get the idea. It's called Sweet Drops, and it has no sugar, no artificial sweeteners in it, but it does have natural flavoring. So this one has vanilla. This one has caramel. And I find these are really great in again, like oatmeal or coffee or mate or whatever it is that you normally would add sugar to. And it gives it a great sweet taste, but it doesn't have that stevia aftertaste. You can also just use straight stevia. I personally don't have a problem with stevia. I think it tastes great, but I know some people do. But there's lots of different products now that contain stevia and that contain monk fruit. So you can find sodas, you can find cookies, all those different things that you're used to eating if you like sweets. There's even stevia sweetened chocolate that tastes exactly the same. They've done a really good job with it. You can find all these different alternatives. So it's not like you have to give up cookies and chocolate and all of that. There are healthier alternatives. So you can still kind of have that little go-to treat. The last thing too is to manage stress, to find ways of managing stress that are not going to snack. Snacking, I know, is the go-to. I find that was one of the things that I was going through as well. Whenever I'd start to be stressed out, I'm like, I'm craving some chocolate or something crunchy or whatever it was. So just kind of paying attention to that and noticing when that's happening. And then having something in place for when you're feeling stressed out. I personally love to use essential oils. I love to diffuse. I have like rollers that I use. That's one of my main go-tos. Also exercising and going for walks. So just having some tools in place for when you get stressed out to help manage that instead of heading to the pantry or the cupboard. The 2 weeks, if you do decide to go like on a sugar detox and cut added sugars out of your life, you might go through a little bit of a detox, just so you know, because it is, like I said, it's very addicting. So there are some things you can try. Glutamine is something that has been shown to reduce sugar cravings. So you could try that during that period of time. That's found in a lot of things like fish, chicken, eggs, beets, whole foods. Digestive bitters can help to decrease sugar cravings, but I think that's because they taste so bad that when you put something bitter on your tongue, you're like, I don't feel like eating anything anymore. But that might be helpful. Also using spices in your food like cinnamon or pumpkin spice, right? Right now it's pumpkin spice season, so that's pretty awesome. Those can help But I think it's beneficial to do this and to at least reduce the amount of sugar we have in our life. I do think that honey is very healthy in healthy amounts. But if you are going through something such as PCOS or insulin resistance, where you need to have a lot more control over your blood sugar levels, then maybe not even that. But that's basically, just one aspect of fertility to consider when it comes to diet is eating processed or added sugars and how it could affect your fertility. And I think the reason it has such a big effect is because it's something that you're doing day in, day out. But let me know if you guys have any questions. You can put them in the comments. I hope you found today's topic helpful. Just something I wanted to remind everyone of, and to see, are you a sweet person? Do you crave a lot of sweets? Have you been using monk fruit? Have you been using stevia? What do you think about those things? Go ahead and leave in the comments below. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I will talk to you again soon.